Edmund Buchanan, 23. Spies a blighty bun for his tea. Hunger whispers seductively, "Take it and run." The baker gives chase, recruiting assistance. Edmund maintains a respectable distance. Up the Nield to Covent Garden, dodging the crowd. "Beg your pardon, madam." Puff pant up the hill towards Shoreditch and over the spill. Into the church of the blighted sister, blesses himself in an urgent whisper. Pause in the vestry, hide from the light. Harriers come with the dogs of night. Skip, jump, Edmund's gone. Through the window, cross the graveyard lawn to the cruel iron fence. Spike in the leg, feels blood seeping. Thinks of his daughter, pale from sleeping more than waking. Food needed to ease her hurt. Caresses the morsel inside his shirt. Tears his leg on the fence's claw, screams in pain as he hits the floor. Dogs bark, harriers run, both spurred on by the crack of a gun. Edmund's wife hears the pleading cry of her name in the night. Fevered daughter wakes in fright. Run to the door, open wide. Edmund, bleeding, dogs astride. Orders barked, dogs slinking, boot in his neck, face in the stinking mud. Comforting woman kicked aside, sees Edmund dragged to the next assize. And in the street where his blood has run, she watches it soak in to the blighty bun. Ocean lashing at the speeding ship, Edmund trapped by the iron grip of chains. Flesh ripped by the nine-tailed beast, his festering wounds a rodent's feast. The nightmares strangle his will for life, and dreams of his loved ones cut like a knife as he cries for their pain, and the impossible hope that he'll see them again. Then the burning sun and the blue skies glare, dry land sounds and clawing air. Vendors' cries, children calling, wheels on stones, bullocks hauling. The dockside stench stirs the convict tribe as hatches blink and open wide. Prodded and pushed by the soldier's gun, eyes slitted against the sun, herded and hobbled the convict cattle stumble in line to the drummer's rattle. Not one damn soul gives a backward look to the motherland or the ship at the dock, for justice's stake has nailed the heart of each man to at least 5 years in this soulless land. And chained in the cell, he thought of his wife. He remembered the bun that he had swapped for his life. And Edmund prayed that the purloined fare had saved the child with a fevered stare. But she had died on the day the ship had sailed from the Portsmouth dock. Her heart had failed for the love of the father she'd see no more, and her soul went searching for the distant shore, where she touched his heart with a sweet goodbye, and his grief demanded an eye for an eye. And he knifed a guard, but he wouldn't die. And it took 2 years of the road gang's sweat to ease his pain, but he couldn't forget. And he swore an oath in his bed each night when he'd served his time, with a free man's right, he'd sail to his wife and the Portsmouth light. And the roads snaked out from the settlement's heart, clawing their way through the light and the dark. And the fights, and the snakes, and the thunderous rain, and the guards with the guns and the whips and the pain. The collapsing face of a half-built wall, men buried alive with no hope at all. And the sickness and murder, the heat and the cold, and the horrors. Some whispered, but most left untold. And Edmund survived and rose through the ranks, to be trusted, unshackled, but no word of thanks. He was put in charge of a gang and a load to build bridges and walls in the Great Northern Road, which wound through the mountains and tumbled through valleys, through bog rush and bulrush, bloodwood and ballally, and scrambled through scrub where the earth became hardened and rose to the ironstone above the colony's garden. Aboriginal skill had savvied the track, never once made an error, never once had turned back. But nothing encountered, nothing already bridged, was as daunting a challenge as the Mount McCoy Ridge. The gullies of ironstone, impassable bush, impediments all to the great final rush to the valley below. But the order came, no, there'll be no turning back. Spurred on by the ghosts of those dead on the track, They blunted the broadaxe, the picks and the saws. They slipped and they tumbled, turned hands into claws. One hobbled wretch was crushed by a tree. Leg irons removed, a dozen ran free. They dug and they scraped and they felled and they filled, and slow, inch by inch, they moved through that cruel hill. The Mount McCoy wall had been Edmund's task. There was pride in its building, a pride which would last. And he and his men prayed at its side, dedicating the stones, one to each who had died. And Edmund returned to old Sydney town, where he received pardon, and a note had come down from the governor's office with news of his wife. Sick from the death of their child, she had ended her life. In his desolate dream, in the dead of the night, the Portsmouth light dimmed and faded from sight. But Edmund discovered a love in his heart for this land he had come to in chains at the start. The bush and the plains and the rivers that roar, the moments of peace on the lush valley floor. He made home in the Hunter where he found it all, and that Christmas returned to the Mount McCoy wall to give thanks, and he cut 2 more stones and fitted them tight. One for his daughter, and one for the light.